What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here, and we had another huge announcement today come out of the SWAC as Prairie View defensive tackle Jason Dumas has entered his name in the transfer portal. A two-time SWAC All-American, was a second-team selection in the spring season, a first-team selection this fall out of PV, was one of the main reasons that team found their way to the SWAC championship, in which he put on a performance against Jackson State and really and truly was one of the standout defensive linemen in the SWAC, was one of the top defensive linemen in really and truly at the defensive tackle spot in the FCS potentially. But enters his name in the transfer portal. We know all the changes that have went around at PV. Dooley heading down to Southern. Also, his defensive coordinator from PV is also now on that staff down at Southern with head coach Dooley. And on top of that, the massive losses that PV has suffered since all just in terms of players from Jawan Pass to multiple wide receivers, some of the running backs also in the secondary with Cheatham, they lost a lot of people. And you're looking at this team. Bubba McDowell now steps in. There's a lot of question marks just surrounding the program overall. Dumas is going to have 1 year of eligibility left going into the portal, and you're looking just at what he can bring to a program. Man, this guy is just big. He's physical. He's so quick off the ball as well, man. When that ball snaps, he's looking to go make a play, and that's something a lot of teams could use. I think he's earned his spot as one of the top defenders coming back into the SWAC. In my opinion, he was one of the top three defensive linemen coming back to the SWAC this year. And you look at what he did last year: 38 total tackles, 17 and a half for loss, 8.5 sacks, 14 quarterback hurries, and three forced fumbles from the defensive tackle spot, sometimes playing the nose. And he ranked fourth in the SWAC in tackles for loss, was third in sacks. The only players in terms of sacks and tackles for loss that were above him are Isaiah Land, James Houston, and Antoine Owens had one more tackle for loss than he did. That is really good company. And you're looking at potentially where he could take his talents. When I'm looking at Dumas, I think Southern's going to be a really big option. I think following his D coordinator, his former head coach, even some of his teammates over to Southern to play alongside some of the really good defensive talent that Southern's bringing back, like a Jordan Lewis. Jason Dumas and Jordan Lewis would arguably be one of the best duos in the SWAC in terms of defensive line play. But the other option is, could he be looking to take his talents to the FBS level? I personally think he's talented enough. He's just got that it factor when it comes to defensive tackles. You're looking at the highlights, you hear the stats, you see the production, the leadership he had at PV. He had a really good performance against Texas A&M when they went to Kyle Field this year and played. I'm excited to see where Jason Dumas lands, but you're looking at this just in terms of what this means potentially for the SWAC. And the SWAC really and truly had a lot of losses on the defensive line. You look at just the top four I just named: Isaiah Lamb in the transfer portal, Jason Dumas in the transfer portal, James Houston, NFL draft, Antoine Owens going to the NFL draft as well. They just lost four of their top five defensive linemen. I think you could throw Jordan Lewis in, who was in the transfer portal for a little bit and decided to come back to Southern. So the SWAC really and truly right now has lost a lot of defensive line talent. You even look at Aquinas Miller transferring out of Jackson State. There's been a lot of losses there. And you look at even a Jerry Gardner at Mississippi Valley, there's been massive losses across the defensive lines, Savion Williams as well. And I'm really interested to see what Dumas thinks is best for his career, because I do think he's talented enough to play at the FBS level. I'm sure he's going to have a lot of interest. There's a lot of programs just around the country that would love to have an instant impact defensive tackle like Dumas with the experience, the production, the accolades. He is going to be a hot commodity in the transfer portal. And also, I can't imagine that Dooley is not on the phone right now trying to get Dumas to come down and play that defensive tackle spot. And for me, if he lands at Southern, you're looking at that team as one of the top teams, I think, in the West to win that division. I mean, when you look at what the defensive line is going to potentially be, you know what the running back room already is. If they can get the wide receiver spot shored up and the quarterback spot figured out, this team is going to be extremely, extremely dangerous. And so, Jason Dumas entering the transfer portal, two-time SWAC All-American, top 5 in sacks and tackles for loss last year, 1 year of eligibility left. Where will Dumas land? That is the question. I want to give a shout out Cut Day on the highlights that we showed during the show, and also comment below where Jason Dumas should go, where you think he can land, and what he can bring to a team entering the 2022 season before he ultimately declares for the NFL draft. So comment all that below, hit the like button, subscribe. But until next time, guys, the Blue Bloods are out.